31-year-old man with a shellfish allergy suddenly developed swelling of the face and lips while eating french fries in a restaurant with his friends. He collapsed while trying to administer an oral medication to himself. Emergency technicians summoned to the scene administered 10 rounds of epinephrine but were unable to resuscitate him. This excerpt from Sally Squires' article for the Washington Post entitled "Healthy Snack or Health Hazard" demonstrates the terrifying realities of living with food allergies. With horrifying stories like this constantly circling the news, my question was prompted. How much of a role should fear play in raising children with food allergies? My answer: although fear is an important part of raising any child, especially ones with food allergies, ultimately it should not be the primary factor in keeping them safe. Instead, education and awareness should be used to improve the quality of life of these children with food allergies. Although relatively common, with around 8% of children and 4% of adults, as reported by the Mayo Clinic, being diagnosed with food allergies, it is ultimately not very well understood by the general public. The Mayo Clinic goes on to say that food allergy is an immune system response that happens soon after eating a certain food. This doesn't sound very serious in its own right, but with even a small amount of an allergy-causing food able to send a person to the hospital in a process called anaphylaxis, things can turn very serious very quickly. Anaphylaxis is a severe allergic reaction that is characterized by a constriction of airways, difficulty breathing, loss of consciousness, coma, and even death. When a patient with a food allergy ingests their allergen, IgE antibodies their body mistakes it for something dangerous and sends IgE antibodies to target this food. Then when the patient ingests the allergen again, these IgE antibodies recognize it and send histamines into the bloodstream, which prompts most of the reactions associated with allergic reactions. Now that you understand a little bit more about food allergies, it makes sense why 62% of patients with food allergies report mental health problems in relation to these allergies. Lily Shanahan and her colleagues discovered that food allergies were, quote, associated with more symptoms of separation and generalized anxiety disorder, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, and anorexia nervosa, end quote. This fear is what keeps patients alive. Yet with this serious of a condition, it is understandable how fear can quickly grow out of hand. When raising a child with food allergies, parents need to balance the normal fears that should be instilled in every single child, in addition to allergy-specific fears. Whether you have allergies or not, a certain amount of fear is very important in growing up. Without a healthy dose of fear, children can be reckless, an idea which is clearly exemplified in Through the Tunnel by Doris Lessing. Although the reader is never explicitly told Jerry's age, we can all assume that he is not 25 years old yet, which is, according to the University of Rochester Medical Center, the age when the prefrontal cortex is fully developed. Jerry was not fully able to understand the pros and cons of his decision to travel through this tunnel, so we can do it for him. The pros were, maybe he can make some friends, and there might be something cool on the other side. However, the cons much outweigh these, with his body consistently telling him not to do this, the potential that there could be nothing on the other side, and the fact, most importantly, that he could have easily gotten injured or died. Of course, Jerry's mother had no idea that her son was planning such a risky stunt. However, perhaps instilling a little bit of respect for the water and fear of drowning may have made him think twice before deciding to pull such a risky stunt. For children with food allergies, this normal fear has to be balanced in addition to allergy-specific fear. But whose responsibility is this? In my opinion, it rests on a delicate balance between parents, children, and society. Parents are responsible for educating their children on the importance of safety and self-advocacy. Children who are able to read food labels, ask to speak to who is cooking their food, and stand up for themselves when something doesn't seem right are going to be safer children who are at less of a risk for anaphylaxis. One limitation of this solution is the burden that it places on children to be constantly aware of themselves. A.J. Cummings and his colleagues suggest that, quote, adolescents experience a burden of responsibility which negatively impacts upon their lives, and constant vigilance can be a source of stress, end quote. Simone Biles' decision to pull out of the 2021 Tokyo Olympics parallel how a child should be raised to deal with this adversity. Simone Biles is a high-level gymnast, and she is under constant stress to make sure that she is performing at a high level. This resembles how children with food allergies are under a constant stress to make sure that they are always aware that they are not eating things that are contaminated with their allergen. Vulnerability and accepting the very real fear that comes with having a life-threatening condition is a form of courage in itself. Going, quote, toe-to-toe with the frightening prospect of being transparent is what courage is all about. And in my opinion, the best way to fight through this fear that comes with food allergies is through courage. If children are able to see more role models like Simone Biles, putting their mental health first and being vulnerable, they may be more inclined to do the same. Each child with a food allergy should have a safe space to be vulnerable about their food allergies and have safe friends that they can talk to about the stress that comes with their food allergies. Although Simone Biles is doing an amazing job showing what vulnerability and standing up for yourself looks like when it comes to your mental health, ultimately public education, especially in schools, is the most important solution. School systems should have mandated EpiPen training for every single employee, and children should all be made aware of the seriousness of food allergies. A.J. Cummings and his colleagues describe how, quote, the knowledge and perceptions of others may influence how someone's allergy is managed. For example, if a patient believes that their friends feel that rituals such as asking about ingredients are not important, they may be less inclined to be as vigilant. Inversely, if children with food allergies friends are aware of the seriousness of food allergies, they may be more inclined to speak up for themselves when something seems off. Food Allergy Awareness Week could be a great opportunity to teach children about the seriousness of food allergies in a nationally mandated program. One limitation to this solution, however, is a lack of time, money, and resources available to schools in an already jam-packed curriculum. However, programs such as Food Allergy Research and Education, or FAIR, have endless opportunities and resources for schools and children dealing with food allergies. Ending the stigma around food allergies and championing those who have them is our responsibility to make sure that children with food allergies feel safer in a world that accommodates for them. They should not be constantly afraid of being contaminated, as no child deserves to grow up with that constant stress. Thank you.
Talk to us about how your research question evolved as you moved through the process.
My research question kind of took a total 180. I at first was talking about how fear impacted evolution, but I just wasn't really interested in that, and I struggled to write about it. So I kind of thought about like my personal experiences with fear, like with my own food allergies. So like it kind of took a total 180, and I threw out all my old research and kind of restarted.
Yeah. Okay. What additional questions emerged from your research, and why are they important?
One additional question that emerged was how specific schools are handling food allergies. I know at my elementary school, they did it in sort of a weird way that I didn't really agree with, and I would be curious on how other schools would handle this, as I know one of my friends, she went to a school and one of the kids like had an allergy attack there, and I would wonder like how the school moved on for